neighbors went to necessarily pick and choose, and I'm not sure if we have that right to do that.
Well, I think that, you know, if we're talking about precedences, that if you're gonna have outdoor drinking, have it facing commercial property, I thought that was a pretty good precedent to set, and we trusted that precedent would stick with Dacha. We just want to give them a 1-year reprieve. That's gonna be a separate issue. So one thing I can say about, you know, Titty Bar. Titty Bar is not gonna keep you up.
About that?
Yeah.
Good Lord, this is going to be on our video. Everybody tune in tomorrow.
Or you say like a Chipotle or a
They would
sex
have
shop.
noise out back, but they would have
Well,
action inside. So I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about an outdoor one that has, you know, an entertainment license outdoor.
Okay, I think we need
Yeah,
to,
we need-
No, but I'm
we need
just
to
saying
move on.
that kind of business is not.
I have one across the street from me.
Well, I'm just saying that when you're in your home, that's not gonna stop your kid from doing their
When the new
homework.
one is.
This is an important point. That kind of business is not gonna stop your kid from doing their homework. It's not gonna stop you from going to sleep if you're somebody that needs to get up at 4 in the morning. I mean, those are businesses people might not like, but these outdoor drinking establishments are actually businesses that impact your life and you can't stop. It's a bar you can never leave.
Frank?
I have a comment.
Thank you.
I live on Fish Street, and I have very nice neighbors. But every 60 to 90 days, they'll have a party. And I can literally hear their conversations from their side of the alley to my side of the alley. And this can go on to 2 o'clock in the morning. And very nice people, very nice guys, I know them, but when they party, it spills out, and I can literally hear everything that goes on from my bed. So I hear the cry of the neighbors, and I agree with you. You don't want to hear that on a day. I wouldn't want to deal with that every day. I can deal with it once every 60 to 90 days when they party, but I have to deal with that 3 and 4 times a week. That
But
would upset me.
One other thing we have to be aware of, there is a noise policy within the district, and the decibel reading for after, I think it's after 9 o'clock at night, is 45 dBL, and during the day it's 60. That's pretty loud, you know, when you think about, and if y'all are really concerned, you need to invest in a decibel meter reading and start using it, and then you can legitimately make your complaints, but that's after the fact, that's not before.
You can download that app.
Pardon me?
You can download the Decibel app on your cell phone.
On your cell phone, yeah, so I mean, there are ways to deal with some of it, and I'm not taking sides either way here.
Yes, I just want to make a comment about something my colleague said, that we here at the ANC in the community doesn't have a right to pick and choose what businesses are in our community. I totally disagree with that. The ANC was set up specifically so the community could have a say in what happens within the boundaries of their ANC commission. If there was no need for that, there wouldn't be an ANC. I mean, we're here specifically so we will have a say. And if the community is against a particular business, the community should be heard, and I think their voices should be recognized by this commission. Yes, there were residents that supported Dacha, and now they're not supportive of this business because of their experiences with Dacha. I mean, that happens. People make mistakes, you know. We have elections, people are sorry who they voted for, they won't vote for the next person, that person the next time. I mean, that happens. And I can completely sympathize with residents who are dealing with a problem with Dacha, and they don't want the same problem to occur with another business. And you have a right to pick and choose. I mean, that's the right that the city government gave us when they set up the ANC. If that wasn't the case, then businesses could just go to the regulatory boards and not deal with what the community or the representatives will have to say.
Thank you, Kevin. Last comment, yes, ma'am.
Please state your name for the note taker.
Sure. My name's Leslie McNitt. I'm at 1601 8th Street. I'm the Vice President of the Central Shaw Neighborhood Association, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and a few neighbors who couldn't be here tonight, just to sort of reiterate the fact that for us it's a quality of life issue. We do recognize that we erred potentially in our judgment of the noise that we would be living with, but we also, we're learning, and at this point, outdoor residential facing drinking space and the noise and some of the other ramifications that come with it is a non-starter for a number of our neighbors, a significant number of our neighbors. And we also, have some concerns about the food truck and a alley rat issue that we've recently, thanks to Lee's wife, largely addressed with the help of the city. And there are some concerns about bringing that back. And, if this is sort of as we have the opportunity to voice our thoughts on these issues as establishments continue to propose licenses along the neighborhood, we'll have to continue to weigh in that way. But we are committed to kind of looking at them on a case-by-case basis because we do largely welcome development in the neighborhood and, want to see businesses thrive in our neighborhood. But there are certain components that we've realized do pose a quality of life issue. And so I just wanted to sort of voice that concern and thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you. Did you get my email?
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk.
We'll circle back.
Okey doke, Alex.
So some people might say that I, as an ANC commissioner, have never met an ABC application I didn't like. And I can say that in 15 years as an ANC commissioner, I have never voted to protest a liquor license. In the conversations that we had with the applicant, both before the ABC Licensing Committee and at the committee meeting, we tried to explore, what could allow this particular business concept to be viable, what were the deal breakers. I encouraged them to look at trying to build a kitchen at the back of the building rather than having a food truck there. I encouraged them to look at what their operation would look like if they didn't have the outdoor seating that was so objectionable to the neighbors, and unfortunately we didn't come to an agreement there. Just because we vote to protest, and I hope that the commission will vote to protest this license, doesn't mean that we can't continue the conversation and that we're not available. And I know that the neighbors also are available to try to reach an accommodation or a meeting of the minds that would allow us to withdraw the protest and allow the license to be approved with a settlement agreement. So I just wanted to be able to share that with the folks that were not in the meetings that we had.
Thanks.
You made your motion. Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. We've heard comments from both community and from commissioners. Let me make sure I understand how we're voting here. You're asking us to vote yes to protest or no not to?
To protest the application.
Okay. So, commissioners, everybody understand what they're voting for? Okey doke. If you are voting to support the protest of this applicant, signify. Say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, all right. I'm in the way. Yes,
Okay.
Y'all gotta skip.
Anybody, I'm going to be a nay on that because I really feel each business is a separate entity. Any abstentions? Frank, no abstention on that
I
one?
voted for that.
He voted for the protest.
For the protest?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. So we are 5-1-0 on the vote. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please keep in touch with us, let us know how things are going. Okay, moving on.
Just wanted to add one note here. Some of you are aware that Dasha has expressed interest in substantially changing their operations and increasing their capacity to a total of 600 people. I'm glad to be able to tell you that the ANC had the foresight when we first developed the volunteer agreement with this applicant to include a stipulation that they were prohibited from applying for a substantial change to their license. So they cannot move forward. That will not be placarded. The ABC board staff has indicated that they have received the application. They erroneously sent out some communications to the commission, but then when they looked at the actual agreement, they realized that they were in error, and without the ANC's agreeing to allow them to change the volunteer agreement, which we would have no reason to do since it's for the protection of our neighbors and constituents, they will not be able to move forward with those plans. I thought that was relevant based on the information that was being shared.
Thank you so much. Moving right along, we're going to public space information, and Hakeem, 425. Michael, I presume?
Yes.
You tell Steve how much he missed tonight.
I sure will. We got two back to back.
This is in my single-member district. The first public space, number 7, is at 425 I Street, and it's for an outdoor cafe. Those of you who are familiar with the Alba Astera, this new restaurant at 425 is going to be directly next to, and it will be a continuation of the same outdoor space for the whole block. So it will not interfere with walkway or sidewalk, and it has little potted plants and a couple of tables along the whole route there. So I don't see it as being a problem for anyone in my district. Take it away.
Thank you for the presentation. Michael Fonseca on behalf of the applicant, we just call 4th Street Dining. It carries a 425 I Street address, but the restaurant and the outdoor seating is on 4th Street, about halfway to K Street, halfway to I Street. And it's a continuum from the same layout as Alba on the 4th Street side. So it's an 8-foot walkway on the side of the large planters that are already there, and with a narrow, ability to have tables seated there without umbrellas, because they would come out and over into that walkway. Excuse me. And Akan owns the Alba.
Yes.
And also the next one that's coming up. So if you want to say anything about the operation.
Actually, outside sitting in that neighborhood seems to be very popular. In the afternoons, we haven't had any issues outside sitting at Alba. And again, it seems to be very popular with the neighborhood. So we kindly ask that you support it.
And I would say this, that the public space application replicates the hours in the settlement agreement with the ABC application. And the seating is consistent. It's 34 seats with, I think, what we originally applied, both in the ABC. I think in our agreement, you left at the public space permit actual numbers, but this is consistent with what runs along that block.
Also, one more thing to add is we also have very stringent language in our lease with the landlord that we have to keep it clean and maintained, and a lot of, as you can imagine, protection for the landlord as well, that we have to keep it at a certain quality and standards.
And there's been no issues from anyone in the community for the Alba Outdoor Cafe. So this is just really an extension further down the side of the street. And since it's in my single-member district, and I've spoken with Hakeem and with O'Brien Malley office on the seating, I make a motion that we approve the outdoor seating for the Ottoman Tavern.
Second.
Any comments or considerations from other commissioners? Any comments or considerations from folks in the audience? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Abstention? Okay, good. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on... Oh, do you know what the date of the hearing is?
This actually, I believe, is going to be May 28th.
Okay,
So,
we got all right.
yeah.
Very cool. We're good. Next on the agenda is Hakeem and O'Brien Malley's office.
Malios and O'Brien.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
And it is for Hakeem's third restaurant, which is on K Street, and is at 450 K Street. And it will be La Hommage, which is a French bistro. When I first got the first seating arrangement, I thought there were just too many seats. He had asked for 84 seats, and only allowed for curb walk for the sidewalk, and we met at another meeting and we talked about it, and Mike gave me a call and we talked again. And now you have reduced that, you want to?
Yes, if I could. So the original drawing, which is still in the DDOT application, what I've given you is what I had sent to Marge as a draft, and what we would, if it's approved, ask that we can revise and resubmit, and this would be what we will work off of. But in the original, essentially, this is a rather large area in the front. And unlike 4th Street, where the permanent planters, which are oddly shaped, they're only a matter of inches off the curb. Here you have a full 8-foot walkway on the curb before you reach the planters. And then you have a very large area for seating. So the original drawing in the application had about 4.5 feet. Essentially, what we have are 2 tops against the wall, then about 4.5 feet, a little bit less, and then the rest of the seating going down to the planters. After we talked with Marge, we created a full 6-foot unobstructed walkway, still kept the 2 tops, and pushed the seating back in, and basically kept about the same number with doing that. And we're counting, and we'll rent all of this space and not utilize the 6-foot walkway for the whole length of that, or width, depending how you call it. And if that's approved, and we would hope in your resolution you make a point of that, if you support it, that the 6-foot unobstructed walkway be included within their rentable space and remain unobstructed. However you want to put the restriction, it's fine with us, because that's our intent.
As you well know, I've obviously been speaking with these guys. On both sides of K Street, everyone's aware that there's outdoor cafes on the opposite side where Busboys is, and they allow for that walkway and not the curbside sidewalk. And we wanted the same thing on the opposite side of the street, and they've agreed to do that, and made changes in how the table formations and things were going to be. So I make a motion that we support the outdoor cafe for La Hommage at 450 K Street. I'm asking for a second. Okay, you want to add, you want to, would you mind repeating about the 6-foot thing?
Yes, I'm trying to look at this drawing and see if...
The rental language.
Yeah, just for the language in the motion, so that.
Yeah, I was just trying to see if this drawing, if our architect dated it, and I'm not sure.
My notes just say 6-foot
Yeah.
unobstructed.
It'll be,
Unobstructed walkway, okay.
that the plan would revise and establish a 6-foot
Foot
unobstructed pedestrian walkway, which would be within the rentable area for the applicant, but it would remain accessible to the pedestrians.
Okay, do I have to repeat all that? We're all good? You got a Karen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and any discussion from commissioners? Any discussion from members of the audience? Okay, then let's take a vote. All in favor of supporting the outdoor cafe for La Hommage, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, so we're good.
Thank you.
You guys are done.
Thank you very much.
Till you open another restaurant.
Thank you.
Thank you very
He
much.
needs to catch his breath.
Do you know when either of these are going to open?
French will be August, and we think Ottoman probably January of next year, because we are still
In the
waiting for
construction.
permits and all that. Yeah,
Excellent.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
The Homage is directly across from you, right?
Absolutely. You know where I'm hanging.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Okay, next on the agenda, let me see, I don't, what do I do? I just want to make sure 601 is not here, 601 Mass?
I am.
Ah, okay,
Still here.
still here.
And I understand your puzzlement because we seem to have difficulty getting DDOT to move forward with this request for a valet permit because the building is under construction. However, our position is we want the valet permit approved before we open the restaurant for business. And we're trying to be proactive and move it along early. So let me tell you what I've got. We'll see what concerns you have, and then perhaps we can get the Public Space Committee off the dime. This is a request for a valet staging zone. Your agenda reflects it as 601 Mass, which is indeed the address of the building. However, the valet parking in the restaurant are on the K Street side of that building. The operator is Let Us Entertain You, which is well-known and beloved out of Chicago. They already have one restaurant in the district, which is
who's the restaurant?
Let Us Entertain You is the restaurant group. They have Joe's Stone Crab downtown. They also have Mon Ami Gabi in Bethesda, and Wildfire and Tyson's, and a lot of really terrific restaurants.
And what are they putting in?
This will be their Italian concept called RPM. So we'll be back before you.
There's a famous person involved.
I beg your pardon?
There's a famous person involved.
Yes.
Juliana, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, the Juliana Rancic.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, this is the valet permit. They want 3 spaces from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. It's on the south side of K Street. There's a garage in the building on the same block. The cars will be parked in that garage. So basically, the staging zone will be in front of the restaurant, and the cars will be moved about, I think, 90 feet up the street into the garage. The route to return is a little more circuitous because of the traffic patterns, and that would be the cars would come out of the garage, go right, go south on 6th, west on Mass, north on 7th, and east on K. So basically around the block, back to the restaurant. And that's all I have. It's pretty straightforward.
This is in my single-member district. We're just growing and growing in my neighborhood. I have a couple of questions. When you say you're going to take 3, that would be 3 parking spaces that would not be available to public for the staging area. Is that correct?
It would be available to public who are valet parking their cars, and certainly during the hours that the valet was not operating would be available to the
Now, I
public.
spoke to someone named Erin.
That's my license administrator.
Okay. She was supposed to get back to me and never did.
Oh, I apologize for that.
So I was a little bit taken aback with that.
Sorry for that.
But I told her one of my problems is the 395 Air Right project closes roads at whim for long periods of time, and a lot of it is then all the traffic is redirected because 3rd Street and 4th Street and Mass Avenue are all closed. And that means major traffic has to come along K, go through alleys and go along L, and creates major, major traffic. So I'm having a problem, myself personally,
Understood.
with how, if it's a really super successful restaurant and you need a lot of valet parking and getting in one car and driving it around and getting in another car and driving it around, it's going to take forever when there is a parking lot. Like, are you using the Stewart parking lot at 5th and K, or are you using the one in your own building?
The one in the building.
It just seems like an awful lot of driving around for valet parking when there's a parking lot right across the street on K.
But won't be
That one
there
exists,
for long.
yeah.
Well, it's going to be there for at least 6 months to a year.
They're not opening for a while.
Yeah, this restaurant won't get open till probably August, September.
Of this, of 15.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not that far away. Okay. Anybody have any comments on parking or traffic issues?
Traffic is bad on K Street.
Oh, that's what,
I mean,
go ahead, make your statement in
traffic is awful on K Street. I couldn't even imagine. They trying to find parking is bad on there too. You have a lot of people try to go to stores down there. I know traffic's bad for me going to work. So,
That's a good reason to have valet.
I mean,
Yeah, but that's exactly the point. I mean,
But at 5 o'clock
But
in the
then you
evening,
have to
it's
you have to worry about the
horrible.
car stopping and then
And on the
These
weekends,
days,
So it would be worse if they didn't have valet parking.
oh, I'm not saying necessarily yay or nay, I'm just saying this was my concern, that because of that air rights project, and, I mean, I can tell you from my home across the street from your restaurant, to Massachusetts and I, last Saturday, took me 45 minutes. That's 3 blocks. So when that Mass Avenue was closed, it's sheer madness. So I was hoping that, you know, maybe we'd get some, and the Third Street project is for another 18 months.
We know, we're aware. I mean,
Okay.
I think everyone is gonna share in this part of the city with respect to the inconvenience from that project. Hopefully, in the long run, we're all better off, but we understand what you're talking about.
Okay. Anyone else, any other comments from commissioners? Any comments from people in the audience? Yes.
I'm from Chicago originally, and I've been to this restaurant before, and it's a very well-known, successful, and I think will add a lot to the community. And I think that supporting it is in the best interest of everyone.
My other concern is that will be the 3rd Italian restaurant in a 1.5 block
In
radius.
Chicago, you have to wait about 6 weeks to get into it, so.
Well, I'm just saying, can the neighborhood support 3 Italian restaurants?
Yes.
But that's not what we're being asked here.
Yeah.
Supporting a
So,
lot more than that in Ethiopian restaurants right now.
well, these are all, they're not just walk in and have some spaghetti and meatballs. These are all white tablecloth things. And I'm just concerned, that's a concern.
Name recognition to this restaurant particularly, that's,
I
Yep.
realize that, and we've all known it's coming, but prior to knowing for sure it was coming, 2 other Italian restaurants opened.
It's coming.
They're gonna-
The lease is signed, they're coming.
Well, there's also Cushi is being replaced by an Italian restaurant, and Alba obviously is the
We're
third
aware.
one. I just think that's a lot of Italian restaurants in one neighborhood, so it's hard. But I'm not negating it, I'm not saying no. Tonight's conversation is really about valet parking, so.
But AV's gone, so we need choices.
I'm sorry, what?
Maybe restore.
Oh my God, you're going back 20 years.
Come on, we all remember it fondly, come on.
I do. So, ready to vote? Okay. So this is for valet parking, and it is going to be on the K Street side of 601 Mass Avenue, which takes up the whole block. The building is going to be 12 floors of lawyers, can you imagine? But it's a coming, October they have to be in, right?
I believe that's right.
Yeah, so, I am recommending that we support valet parking for 601 Mass, and
Well, is it valet parking for 601 Mass or for the restaurant?
Well, for the
it's for,
restaurant.
I'm sorry, for the restaurant
For the-
RPM,
Yep.
which is located at 601 Mass, but they're gonna be using the K Street side for valet parking, if you get that all. Okay, second,
Seconded?
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Antonio, okay, so we are 5-1-0.
Great, thank you.
You made it, sir.
Have a nice evening.
Have a great one.
Business card.
You have one.
From before.
Klein, Veritas,
Klein.
right in front of you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
I'm not that memorable.
Oh, yes, you are.
Thank
You can come to our, I better not say that, somebody. Take it the wrong way. Okay, next on the list, oh, you guys jumping up.
Oh, we're excited.
Ready?
All right.
I'm gonna turn on the lights, dim down the lights.
Sure. This presentation is for historic, to be presented to historic. This is the piece of property at the corner of 8th Street, correct? And 9th and O, I'm sorry, I keep thinking 8th. 9th and O, and it is that white church with the blue roof, Scripture Cathedral. And it is being put up by our friends here.
Good evening.
Warrenton Group, so.
Yeah,
Do you need
yeah, I'd like to say hello to all the commissioners and to the crowd. I'm Warren Waters with the Warrenton Group. This is my partner Stan Beaudry with the 4 Points. And we're really excited, even though we had a setback and not winning the whole proposal. We're really excited to develop this corner here, Scripture Cathedral at 9th and O Streets. And we're here today to seek the community support and the ANC support for Historic Preservation Review Board application that goes along with the potential development of the site. So we're not going to take a ton of time, but we did want to come and present our initial thoughts and get some feedback. I'll turn it over to Sam.
Thanks, Warren. You know, I think most of this ANC has seen us before. Warrenton Group has been in the neighborhood a long time. And, why don't I stand way down this way so we're out of the way. Warrenton Group's been in the neighborhood a long time. 4 Points is the developers of Progression Place, 7th Flats, a couple blocks away from this site. The site, as Warren mentioned, is where the Scripture Cathedral Church is currently, at the corner of 9th and O. So O is cutting through the middle of the projection there, from left to right, and 9th is going north and south, up and down. As Warren mentioned, the parking lot, which you can see immediately next door, was part of a district RFP and was awarded to another developer, not to us. So we're only talking about from the alley to the corner, 9th Street to O Street. So it's a significantly smaller project than what was contemplated when you were talking about the whole site. So if we go back to the summary page, I can apologize in advance that this is not large enough for anybody to read. So I'll give you the numbers. The ANC commissioners have this in electronic form as well as in printed form. So what we are asking for is summarized on that top chart, which is that this site allows for 2.5 FAR by right. We are going to apply for a PUD. So we'll be back before you in the coming weeks to talk about the PUD application. This is only for historic preservation review, which we go through historic design review first, and then we go through the PUD. But this will be a PUD that allows for 6 FAR and a 90-foot height. So this is going to be a 90-foot high project and a 6 FAR. Lot occupancy is 80%, and we'll show you a site plan that shows that. Parking is required to be 1 parking space for every 3 units. We know parking